Hey adventurers, I'm out here in Samoa on the south side, the south coast of Upolu Island, and found another structure you can actually hear. We're not too far from the coast, you can probably hear the waves in the background. And this structure I'm looking at now is a very distinct wall running through the jungle. As usual with the jungle being so dense, can be hard to make out. So I'll put my hand in shot. It literally, the wall, the end of it is just down there. So just past this tree here. Runs up this line, so you can see the stones probably better as I bring them into focus. So these green mossy stones here. What really helps to show you this is these actually two very big large trees here. They have grown either side of the wall, so the wall continues up under there, continues on. I'll just come up over this branch, and then as I zoom in, there we go, you can see it. So it continues on perhaps for quite some way up into the jungle. What I'm noticing, guys, I'll just zoom back, I'll pan back, is that this structure, rather than being just a wall, I'm getting the sense more that it almost feels like an octopus that I'm looking at, because just to the left of this tree, there's now another row of blocks. These stone blocks sticking out of all the dead leaves and underbrush, they run along, so at this point, and again, very straight line actually, and they're running down to that direction. And there is a structure which I'm going to head over to, just try and zoom in from here so you get a sense of perspective, where there's actually a significant amount of blocks just in that region there, which actually look a bit more squared off, and that looks like the end point of that. As I come up further, we're actually on the high ground up here. It looks like this then arches off again, almost like an octopus, or the rays of the sun shooting off. There seem to be, from perhaps some kind of central point, these straight lines arcing out in a circular pattern. So have a bit of an explore, we'll see what we can find. I do want to go look down the hill a little bit and see what's down there, but let's see what we can find. Okay, so I've literally stepped up no more than say 5 meters just behind those two big trees that were in the back of the last shot. There's now a really distinct stone wall here, or stone feature, but it is in quite a straight line here. The very mossy rocks that are standing out between about probably 1 to 2 feet high, so they are continuing off. So we're going in this direction, heading up. Does take a slight, maybe a slight bend, but if only. I'll try and sort of step up just onto the edge of the structure. It's pretty loose underground. Here we go. All right, so continues up that way. Again, trees have grown either side of it, so it really does reinforce this has been here for a long time, I suspect. We're on some kind of higher ground feature. And then what I'm noticing is another structure just over here, so that's where I'm going to head next. So where I was looking before, and there's like a almost horseshoe shaped set of stones. Difficult to make out here. I'll get in closer and we'll see if it's a bit clearer. Alright, I've now moved up to this structure. Now I really hope I can do this justice. We have got a very clear, what I thought was a semicircle actually looks like it is maybe not entirely circle, more like a oval shape, to be honest. So there is these stones which fit out and they come around. So this is the front bit of all this almost horseshoe shape, and they stand up. They look like they've all been stood up deliberately. So they're standing out about 1 foot high, and then it continues round, and actually what I can see, it goes out there and then comes right back around. So whether this had some kind of religious or ceremonial use, it looks too small to be the base of a house or some structure of that kind. Just if I just edge over to the left here, so you can see, so we go from there down and around, and the area inside here, so in this area, is actually sitting up about 1 foot taller than what is outside. So this has been deliberately raised about 1 foot, and it is ringed by these larger stones, creating, I say, what looks probably more of an oval shape as opposed to a circular shape. If this vegetation, especially if these leaves weren't here, I think this would be really clear to see. One thing I am noticing in here though, as I step in, this is firm. this ground is really firm. So used to these rocks being very loose and sometimes uneven underfoot. This is particularly firm. So this really does feel quite deliberately leveled off. But this might give you a perception of sort of how high they are sitting up. I'll just bring the camera right down. You get that sense. Okay, so that's the height here, about sort of 30 centimeters, about a foot, is what that edge line sits out. And then from here, you can actually see the other wall that I started with. It's really clear. Just bring the camera up and it just runs straight through there. Sorry if I'm getting out of focus with my finger. And runs up in that direction. But yeah, particularly if I zoom in on that point, there it is. So deliberately constructed stones piled up into, whether it's a wall or if it was some kind of like a symbol, a pattern, a geometric pattern that might have been made. But the stones, yeah, very deliberately stacked one atop the other. So at this point, I'm going to start with a shot just straight down, just looking at my feet. What I can't help but notice here is that this entire area now, I've come up onto what feels like a deliberate platform. Stones very tightly packed together. So it's just the leaves really that are taking away from that, but they're packed together, not forming any kind of geometric shapes. But the result of this is it actually feels quite flat underfoot, but really, really firm underfoot. There's a lot of stones that have all been piled up. They go right out in that direction and out here, pretty level across the top, but large stones, unlike the pyramid, which I found the burial mound a few days ago, which is not too far from here at all, where that felt quite loose underfoot. On top, this feels solid. This feels really, really solid up here, like a solid platform. So who knows what was here in the past, but definitely something that's intentional, but yeah, flattened, but very, very firm underfoot. As I start to move, like I'm having no concerns whatsoever walking here, and it's usually quite a struggle to walk. You need to be so careful where you go. But yeah, this is feeling really firm, really solid. But yeah, it's definitely some kind of, we'll go over to that wall over on the other side. Right. Under the foliage that you're looking at now, that is the stone wall, the first wall that I identified. So it's running from down there, coming up here. Now here's our best shot of it here. And like, look at the size of these stones. They're big. They're really, really big. And this is giving you a real indication. Here they're actually almost seem to have been formed in a circle, as if something was meant to go or be placed in the center. It really, I could be wrong, but it has that feel because there's a bigger kind of structure here sitting in the wall, and it just feels like something was missing, like maybe there was a post and it was supporting something else. But yeah, it does feel like something was meant to go into this zone here. Pretty, yeah. Right, moving a little bit. But really, like most of them, that's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere. So pretty solid. Yeah, but this gap here of something missing. Can you see that? Again, really solid wall. Like a solid wall, not parallel to the coast, actually set off on probably about a 45-degree angle. And then continuing, let's zoom in and see if I can capture it. All the rocks are covered in a mossy green, so it makes them stand out, but they go straight through that line, just up there, and straight through there, and then there seems to be a high point just up there. I'll see if I can just head up that way and take a bit of a look and see if there's anything there. So I'm not to that high point yet, I'm halfway to where I was heading, but it actually seems to be a really good view of the wall. So that's where I was. That is that structure that seems to have that round gap in the top and seems a little bit more reinforced. The wall comes up here, so there we go. So it's roughly about 2 feet high, I would say. It comes through here. It's actually a lot wider here, so it might have perhaps fallen down. I think the main line of it is just there though. It's running on that line, but there seem to be more larger rocks that have come down on this side. And then it continues up here, past the tree, and then just trying to zoom through the jungle foliage. It heads up, there's a fallen tree up there, so at least heads as far there. I'll get up there and see what I can see when I get beyond that point. All right, okay, I'm up on that elevated section now. The wall as it stands, I have come, so it's gone this way. It comes, let me zoom back a little bit. Right, there it is there. Continues under. Again, roughly 2 feet high. The ground I'm actually standing on, like incredibly firm between large stones. Yeah, and then these large blocks, they look pretty substantial. I think the smaller ones, maybe 20, 30 kilos, but the larger ones down the bottom, I'm guessing easily 100, 150. I can't help but notice underneath it, some of them look particularly squared off as well. There are ones, quite a few actually, as I look. It's another one over there that look like they've been really squared off, maybe like some of the original, like we put them down and then the wall has been built more loosely over the top. What I can see now that I'm up here though, is that was the dead tree, fallen tree that I was referring to before. So that looked like the high point. Actually, this just continues off into the jungle. I'm not even sure how far this goes. So it's just heading up that way. It does look like it starts to bend round to the left. And what I am noticing now that I'm at this point is that there's now a second wall coming out. So this is a juncture point, and there's another wall structure going through here. Let me just step around so I might be able to look straight down. So this seems to be a juncture point just here. It comes down, it goes this way, but then it turns and it now heads off up in that direction as well. So it's feeling like these are natural divisions, maybe between pieces of land, and these stones might have formed the basis. Perhaps there was a timber structure on top, but it does feel more like divisions that I'm looking at, that the wall was separating things as opposed to the wall that might have been around a building. Like here, it might be a little bit hard to make out. Like this section of the wall is substantial. This is more than a meter above the ground that's down lower there. Like it's actually quite tall right there, and that one is a much taller wall section than what is here or what's left here. In saying that, at the juncture point, yeah, I'd estimate that's probably about a meter in height, or if it's shorter it wouldn't be by much, but some very big stones here at the junction. That's quite large. That one, that's probably at least 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters. Yeah, probably they're in that ballpark, so hefty. And just continuing off up in that direction. So the mysteries of Samoa continue. I'll try and head down the front before I go and just take a look at that bit that looked like a really deliberate endpoint. See what that looks like. So let's see what we see. So just before I go any further, what I'm doing, I'm turning around now to face back towards the walls that we've seen and the junctures. They were just up in that direction there. And then the wall is running down in this section. If I zoom through, oh, it is tough, but there it is. There it is. You can see that through there. So that's a part of the wall. The jungle, just foliage is so dense, it really covers it up, but the wall runs straight through that line there. So I was going to head down that way, but I've detoured over here because what I'm noticing is this again continues to be incredibly stable underfoot, like incredibly stable. So it really feels packed down. It feels, my gut feeling is that at some point there has been a lot of movement and a lot of action up here. The rocks, the stones are just not moving about like they did on top of the pyramid mound that I saw the other day, which was just over in that direction, probably within about 100 meters, maybe even less of where I'm currently standing now. So this is part, no doubt, of a bigger complex. This section here looks like somewhat of a walkway that goes over and actually heads towards that. There's a raised area here. Here there is a section, there's a lot of larger stones just running through here. There's one there, there's one there, one there, one there. So another really big one there. So they seem to be like an edge, almost like a retaining wall, or at least acting in that manner. And then there's a deliberate dip down. There is like the jungle valley floor runs down there. There's a particular low point. And then there is another wall or retaining wall type structure running right across that end down there. And that's as we head towards the pyramid. So I think I'm going to head across this way and then come down into that low point and see what we can find. But I'll actually try and walk. Hopefully this doesn't feel too disorientating on the camera. I'll try and zoom right back. That's as far back as I can go. But yeah, incredibly firm underfoot. If we took all those dead leaves away, I think it'd be actually really interesting to see. It's a lot of stonework. It's a lot of labour has gone into constructing this site. But they're all, you can see they're all separate rocks, even though slightly stacked together. This is not something that's happened through natural rock formation. This is man-made. There's the wall. Actually, that's a pretty good view of the wall that I was just passing over. Actually, that's another extension of it. So sorry, this is something I haven't looked at yet. So coming down there, through there, much bigger stones in this one. Much bigger than the last one, but the actual height overall is much lower. So perhaps whether the top stones have been removed or knocked off. So not as tall, but much sturdier down below. So that's coming through here. Let's have a look. What's going on over here? Oh, there's something really substantial over here. This is interesting. So I'm sorry, I keep detouring, so I apologize for that, but this is the first time I've been in this particular location, so I think it's just exciting, it's interesting. There's a high point here. That could be a natural stone feature just here. And going up there, I wouldn't be surprised if that bit is, but that's not. That's a stone wall. It almost looks like a whole lot of green stones because they're covered in this like very soft moss, which is it's not slippery either, so it's actually pretty easy to get across. But okay, right, this is going to get really interesting. This is without a doubt it's the most substantial wall that I've seen. Just step down past this bit though. Again, this is all right. This is interesting. There's stones going right around. Again, feels like something's meant to go in the center. Feel like something's missing. Was this meant to be a point and a branch or a tree or some kind of supporting structure came out? Over here, I'm noticing, look at that. Check those out, huh? Okay, nice and squared off, nice and straight. So it gets more interesting, but this is the best wall that I've seen. Let's see, I think we can really do this one justice actually. All right, let's pull these vines back. Have a look at this. This is something else. All right, let me get through here. All right, see this? Look at all these stones. Look how well that's stacked up. It's just great. This is a substantial wall. This actually does feel like it could be the base of a home, a significant point, a fortification. It's solid. This one is really solidly built. It's a meter, maybe a meter and a half in height. Continues up there. I'll just get around this one particular tree that's kind of in my way. Look at that. Look out, you see that? You can see off the right side. So there, that's one side, and the other side is there. It's like if I put my hand in, it's that wide. Not that that helps, but that's the size of the wall. It's substantial. This is substantial. I'm going to try and step up. There you go. So it's got dead foliage on it, but it's a significant step up. It's a big structure. It continues up that way, intersects with another wall, which looks essentially like a T-junction here, and another raised platform. Again, I actually, to be honest, I think I might be on the back end of the pyramid structure. To be honest, I actually think I am at the reverse side of that. Yeah, lot of work. This is far more than the structure that I thought I found the other day. All right, I don't know what this is. It's all open to speculation, obviously. The ground where I am, even firmer than everything I've been standing on. Incredibly firm. Really doesn't have the crab holes, doesn't have the big gaps between the stones. It feels like I'm just walking on nice, firm, turfed ground. The one thing I can't help but notice though, I feel like I'm either in a very secure position or even a defensive position. I have got around me here, there's a wall there to the left, which sits up about 2 feet. There is that larger solid wall there. There's a big dip that goes right down there and heads towards the coast. So there's this really substantial wall here. That hits a right angle because part of it goes off there, but this wraps around. So right behind me, I'm fully ringed in. I've got really solid stones, not just at the back, But looking over here at this side, like this tall. We're talking 1.5 meters at least just on the top section. Plus so there's this lower bit, it steps up, and then there's all these stones here going through. Sorry about how it's pulling in and out of focus with the jungle, but let me go this way. This might give you some more perspective. And that goes up, and the wall, so this bit here, one bit there, you can see that. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty clear. And then that just continues up this away and goes up over the hill. So this is all connected, a lot of walls. This, yeah, maybe instead of being all different walled areas, we might be looking at the basis of different sections in a tribal group, different ceremonial areas, but lots of evidence, I think, of human interaction on this land, but just the firmness underfoot is something that I'm not used to in Samoa. Everywhere I've been to Pula Malay, to the pyramid mound the other day, I'm used to a lot of the stones being quite loose. Here, this is very different. This ground has been really, really packed down. So I think there's been a lot of foot traffic here. And some of these structures, the ballpark I hear thrown around is like 1000 BC. If it's, you know, Lapita connected. I simply don't know. I don't know, but either way, it's a significant site. So really interesting. It seems every time I think I've found what might be the best way of trying to demonstrate the wall at home for if you're watching, but just really difficult with all the green, all the brown, all the foliage. I find somewhere that seems better. This is even better again. This bit, very substantial again, actually feels more like a retaining wall because you've got high ground here or the side of like a mound or the mound. So there's a high flattened off area there, and then this wall right here, and then flattens out again through this low point here, and it really, really firmly packed. But look at the size of these stones. They are huge. These are big. These would, like, yep, some of the smaller ones, the ones on top, yep, probably a guy could carry them with a bit of effort, but the majority of these are like a multi-person lift easily. The substantial, this is a lot of work, and it does feel like this particular area has been kind of reinforced along this wall here that goes up into there. See, I'll zoom in, see all the stones? They come here, but yeah, this bit is the clearest example. So you've got, let me try and, okay, one big stone there, so going across, one there, one there, one there, a third layer, and then actually starting a fourth layer. And then beyond that, it looks like there's at least one more layer down below as well, which is being covered by the jungle. And that continues down, just down to that point. It seems to kind of sink down at that point. So it could be the edge of a star mound. Not sure. I really simply don't know. This is my first time here, so you're seeing this as I'm seeing this. Okay, I'm getting closer to the coast now. The section I was in just a moment ago was there. There's that wall there. You see again, really large blocks continuing on. So like really, really large. I think even they're getting bigger as we go down. A raised platform area up there. Now, this is interesting. Here, I notice a deliberate amount of stones, but they actually snake off. So instead of being entirely straight, this feels like it's deliberate. So I've just zoomed back. And what we've got is they go from here down, and then there's a bend there, and then they swing back. That feels deliberate. It almost feels like I'm looking at the tentacle of an octopus or the tail, I guess not of a snake. There's virtually none here in Samoa. But yeah, it feels like, yep, so it goes this way, curves, then curves back again. Just with all the green and all the density, hard to make out, but yeah, it really, that's got to be a deliberate curve. And the stones are so big that they have to have been placed. That's not random. All right, just one final shot. That's that snaking stone wall that I was looking at before. So it comes down, so we've got this big stone, and then to here, then to there, and then curves back in. that way. I don't know what it is, but really interesting. Well, thanks for tuning in for another adventure. This has been a live exploration. This has been me literally walking into the jungle in the vicinity of another location that I've been to before, where I found a pyramid mound and a portion of a star mound. So it's been really, really interesting. A lot of walled structures. Some might be retaining walls. Others have the look of walls that would divide portions of land. But others definitely feel like they could be ceremonial. The circle that I saw at the start, that final structure at the end, it just felt so enclosed. It felt like the center point of a location. It felt like a safe space as well. And the ground there was so firm and so flat, despite all of the vegetation that's fallen down. So I think the thing I love doing with this channel is just getting out there. It's one thing to read history. It's one thing to have someone read from a book and show you a bunch of slides. My take is get there, boots on the ground, be in a location, just explore it. And I hope I encourage other people to come and explore. There is so much to see here in Samoa. If you get the chance, come out here. It seems like every time you tear off onto a trail into the jungle, there is something amazing to be found. And there is so much history out here that is truly still unknown, that has just fallen by the wayside and is just waiting to be discovered or rediscovered as well. And this couldn't be truer for this location. So everything I've explored today is there, literally almost 360-degree around me. We started over in this direction, went through the back behind me here, and then behind where I am now is in that direction. I suspect is where the star mound and the pyramid burial mound from the last video were. So if you get the chance, please come out here, be respectful of the culture, explore where you're welcome, and come with an open mind, and who knows what we might find out here. All right, happy adventures.